Thank you so much for joining the webinar today. I'm Balaji, I'm the product expert, and I'll be training you on how to simplify document creation using advanced options in Zoho Writer. So I also have Preeta with me to address any questions that raised throughout the webinar. So you can just simply raise the questions using the Q&A option on the bottom, and Preeta will be glad to help you out. So I'll be making use of a presentation deck right here and a live document that we're going to generate. So this is the document that we'll be generating. So using the features that I'm going to explain in this webinar and how easy it is to make them. I also have a sample document right here that will be making use to show you how these would work. So this is the complete document and this is the published complete document. All right, so before we get started, I'll start with the questions. So starting with the first one, so how to make a picture fill the whole page. So in the document that I'm sharing, so what I'm about to do is, so I'm about to create a book written by Arthur Conan Doyle, a Sherlock Holmes book. So I'd be making use of the features from our format and insert options. So basically, it would be text boxes, images, and how to make use of section or page breaks. So the first question here is how to make a picture fill the whole page. So as you can see in the document here, the first page is the cover page of this book. So I've made use of an image to be inserted, and I've also used section breaks to move the content over to the next pages and just have this image occupy only one specific page, and also without any headers or footers. So considering this document, so to insert an image, there are several options. So you can simply go to the hamburger icon, click on insert, and under image, you have multiple options. So upload, insert a URL. So upload being the option to pick files from your desktop. So whereas insert a URL is by inserting a public image URL. You also have options for picking from Zoho Work Drive and the My Library option as well. So My Library pertaining that uh, the images that you have already used in your other documents, which will be saved to your library in Zoho Writer, so which you can use then and there in other documents as well. So you also have an integration with Google Photos and Flickr, which are popular uh, image websites, which you can pick files from. Also, you have a direct web search where you can use licensed or non-licensed free images. So this specific poster that I've inserted in this document was inserted using the web search option, under which I used free to use, share, or modify even commercially. From here, I searched for Sherlock Holmes, inserted the file, and then I readjusted the size of the image so that it covers the full page. So without having it bleed to the next page, by clicking on settings and by choosing behind, so that I can also, if needed, input text in this document. So that is on the first page itself. So I haven't set any borders and I've not made any changes to the positioning. And then what I've done is I've inserted a section break right after the image so that there is no other content entered into the document on the first page. So that covers the first question. So where you will be able to insert an image as a cover picture or a cover image in the front of your page. So most examples that I will be discussing in this webinar will be based on how you would be able to use them on a book, but also it can be made use of when you're creating a document and henceforth. So that's how you would make a picture fill the whole page in Zoho Writer. So getting to the next question. So how to add an image to multiple pages in the same spot in a multi-page document. So let's say you don't want to insert the image in multiple pages by going to each and every page. So how do we do this? So instantly to have the image available on multiple pages. So all you have to do is insert the image in your header or your footer. So what I'm doing right here is, so I'm going to the second page, double clicking on it so that I will be able to access the header and footer options, and then click on image, search for an image and insert an image. So let's say this is the image that I inserted. So I've set the wrap type as in front of text so that no other content goes behind it. And if needed, I can also remove the background of the image. So this is a very well-known feature that you can make use so that let's say if you have an image and you want to use it as a vector image without any content surrounding the image, you can do this here. If needed, you can adjust the position. Even that can be done. So just select the image and positioning, and you can allow it based on the document margin or even the page or even the column or line type. So we'll be discussing this on the upcoming questions. But for the header image, I'm just going to choose page and top left. So once this is done, you can see that the image has gone to the top left corner, and that's it. So it has been input into the header, as you could see, have just inserted into just one page. But if you could see, if you go to the other pages, it has been inserted in all the other pages. So this is how we instantaneously add an image to multiple pages at the same time. And the other options to edit the image here, or you can also decrease or increase the opacity of the image so that you can that is you can provide a transparency to the document, so it can be increased or decreased. All right, so that would be it. So getting to the next question here. So how to put a large table or an image in the middle of a portrait document? So most documents would be in portrait size. They could be A4 or any other formats. Let's say if you want just one page within the document to be in landscape mode. So how do we do that using Zoho Writer? For an example, in the completed document, you could see that this specific page alone is in landscape mode. So whereas the other ones are in portrait. So this is what I'm looking for. So to do this in Zoho Writer, let me just go to any sample page. So before entering content into the specific page, so all I have to do is click on insert, click on break, and insert a section break, and click on next page. And from here, images, web search, Sherlock Holmes illustration that I'm searching for, click on search. Let me make use of this one, and then click on insert. So you can see that this image has been inserted. And again, what I'll have to do is I'll have to insert and then choose next page. So once this is done, you can see that the content has moved over to the next page. And let me just select this image, go to page setup, change the orientation to landscape. So you can see that this image and alone, this page alone has converted from portrait to landscape. And I can simply resize the image as per my need. And let's say if I want the image to cover the header or footer as well, I choose this file, choose this image and choose in front of text. By doing so, I can have it span over the header or footer too. So you can alter it based on how neat it would look. That would be it. So this is how you would change the orientation for a specific page alone, just by using your insert image option and by inserting section breaks on front and back of the images. And to the next question. So how to add text in the margin or a floating sidebar. So let me show you how I want it to be and how you can make use of these features to insert it. So you can see that a specific content here is available vertically. So this is something that I would want, a floating toolbar or a floating text right next to the margin on the left side. So to do this, it's pretty much straightforward. So you go to the page that I would need. So let's say I wanted to insert it on chapter 1. So let me just click on insert, click on the text bar, and let me just resize it based on my need. Read through, So let me just input the sample content here. And if needed, I can change the formatting as well for the content within the text box. So rearrange it based on my need. And so I want it to be rotated. So after clicking on the settings in the text box, we have rotate option. So that's done. And I want it to be available on the left margin or on the left side of the page. So center left. So all I have to do is just select it, click on settings, click on positioning, and then the align to, all I have to do is just click on center left of the page. And you could see that the text box now appears on the left side. And if needed, I can remove the borders by selecting on settings. So border none. And if I would like to have a background set, I can choose the color, or if needed, I can also input a background image. So this will only be available in one page. But let's say if you want it to be available on multiple pages just by inserting it on one page, so you can insert it inside the header or the footer. And to the next question. So in a two-column layout, how do I have an image span across the column while the text remains in both the columns? So an output that I would require here is to have an image here and have the columns below have so the first thing that we'll have to do is convert a paragraph to two columns and have an image on top of it. So let me show you how this can be done. So how about we insert an image right here? Click on insert, click on image, click on web search, the same option that we did previously, and search for it. So I'm looking for something on a square size. Maybe this should do. I'll click on insert. But I want this content to be columns. So I'll simply select the content. And if I switch it to columns, so what will happen is the image would occupy uh, the top part of it. That would be it. So that's how you simply add an image and have two columns span across. So this can also be done using text boxes too, or even when you put a text box and put a table inside it. So to repeat it, you select the content, you right click on it, and under column options, you choose the number of columns that you would require. That's simple. Off to the next question. So how to position an image or text in the center of a page? So let's say I have a blank page and I want the title to be inserted right before I introduce a chapter in. So essentially, this is what I would want for the chapter and an introduction before the chapter. So the option here is to just insert an text box and type in the content within the text box. And so the main concern here is to position the text box in the center of the page. So after clicking on text box options, so under positioning, you would have page and center. So now the text box is available on the center of the page. That's simple. And after the next question, so how to make the text box in a fixed position in a document and independent of the text changes or movement within the document. So essentially, this is what I'm looking for. So within a paragraph, a specific text which is available in the center, and the text to just wrap around the text box, and no changes should be done. Whether let's say if I'm adding content around the text box, the text box shouldn't move, and just the text should move from one place to another. So to do this, so you simply make use of the text box option. Let's say I wanted to add it here. So click on insert, click on text box, And for the text to be surrounded, you click on the text box options and choose square. So by doing so, you can see that the text box or the text is now surrounded by the paragraph here. And by clicking on settings, you can also remove the borders and set up a background image or a background color if needed. So pretty much simple here. Now, after the next question, so how to have the signature stick to the bottom of the page always, no matter what space or content is added on the top. So this book is written by Arthur Conan Doyle, and let's say he wants to add his signature once the document ends. So let's go to the last page, and let me just make use of the insert option and insert a signature. But the question here is to insert the signature at the bottom of the page, no matter what content is added on the top. So we'll do one thing. So click on text box and then go to insert and then add a signature there. So let me resize it so that you could see the complete signature. And then, so just like how you would adjust the position of a text box or an image, you go to the table text box options and click on positioning and you choose the page on the bottom right corner. So you could see the signature has now gone down to the bottom right. So let me just turn off the borders as well. So the question was, let's say if any other content is added, so what would I do? So let me just enter this paragraph here. So as you could see, after I click on enter, you can see that the signature went over to the next place. That is to the next page where I want it to be. So let me click on backspace and it is back here. So whatever content you keep editing and you keep adding, so the signature will go over to the last page, so where I want it to be. All right, so that should be it. So off to the next question. So how do I insert an image that spans across the top in a document? So this is something like inserting a letterhead. And let's say I just want it in one page, just on the top. Let me just try to use it here. So let me insert an section break and place it on continuous. Let me insert another section break here, clicking on next page. So to do this, I just open the header options, click on image, let me web search and free to use. I'll search for landscape. So I'm trying to insert this document. It should appear in all the headers. So I can resize it so based on my need and have it span across as well. So I'm not unable to insert it here as an image is already applied. So this is how you would insert an image on the top if needed. So as it doesn't like make sense to insert a letterhead within the book, so I'm not choosing to enter it. But still, this is how you would make use of this option. To the next question. So how to set page numbers from a specific page? So I want the page number to be available on just from the third page or the fourth page. I click on the footer options and then go to page number. And from here, you can see that page number can be chosen from 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, or in Roman numbers. So you can start from the current section and then you can choose on from which page number it should start from. It can be the 2 or the number that you choose from. So that is how you'll be able to choose the page number itself. So off to the next question. So how to set a header only to the first page? So you go to the first page or choose any header option and then choose a different first page. So based on this, the first page would not have a header or would have a header on whether you have inserted or not inserted it. And next, and the next question here. So can I remove and insert blank pages in an instant? It's a pretty much straightforward question. So let me try now. So I'll go to this page, the last line. I go to insert and then click on blank page. So by doing so, you can see that a blank page has been inserted now. And if needed, I can add content within it. So if you want to leave blank pages when you go from one chapter to another, you can do that. Let me click on backspace now, which would delete the blank page. That's simple. And the next question, so how do I make paragraph stick together across pages? So this is an amazing option that Writer provides. So under formatting, you have a more option. And if you click on it, you can see that there are several options under line and break page. So you have enable widow and orphan control. So starting with widow and orphan control. So let me explain what it is first. So widow is when this option is enabled. And let's say I have just one line from this paragraph on the other page. So if I enable this, you can see that a, another line from this paragraph moved from this page to the next page. So making that it would look neater while reading the content. And if I add another enter, you can see that the complete paragraph went over from this page to the other page, stating that so at least two lines are available on both the ends. So if I just try to push one line over, it would move over the complete paragraph. So if only one line is moved over to the other place, it's called as an orphan. So whereas if you just have one line on the initial page, it's called as a widow. So to have a perfect paragraph within pages, so you have this widow and orphan control. And the keep lines together option is just, if you just use this option, click on enter, it would move over the complete paragraph to the next page. All right. And next you have page break before. Let's say if you put this page break before option. So anything that is added in this page, let's say, and I click on enter, so it would completely remain in this page. I use it here. So it completely gets moved over to the next page as well. So it certainly just inserts a page break to right wherever you want it to. And next you have keep with next. So let's say if I add an introduction heading here, maybe I'll insert it in the previous page so it would make more sense. Mark it as a heading. So if I try to move this paragraph over to the next page, so what would happen is it would certainly just move the paragraph and the heading to the next page. So let me just show you that. We just move over the complete introduction and the paragraphs to the next page itself. So that is the chapter heading and the paragraphs would just maintain to be on the same page. So because if you have a paragraph heading on one page and the paragraphs on the next page, it would make sense so that you can make use of the skip with the next option. So the headings and the paragraph stay together. And after the next question, so how do I add two tables in a single page to show a comparative analysis? So this is an example of what I would need. So this one, you can see that I've inserted two tables right next to each other with two text boxes on the top, which shows a comparison of the crime solved by Sherlock and Watson in two different locations. So it is very much hard when you try to insert two tables right next to each other given any document editor to make it very much simple in Zoho Writer. So we have given this option where you would be able to insert tables inside a cell. Click on Insert, click on Table, and then just choose two tables. And under this specific table, you go ahead and choose a cell, and then go to Insert, and then choose a table. You go to the next cell, click on Insert again, click on Table, choose two table. Now, so you can see that the border of this first table that I inserted is still visible. So I simply select it, click on Table Settings, go to Design, and choose Table option, and then Disable Borders. Now I go to the cell option, you can still see that this specific cell border is available. So I get that disabled as well. So essentially now you can insert two tables right next to each other, so that it shows you a comparative analysis. Now to the next question. So how do I add a table between columns and have the text flow without affecting the table? So just as we made use of the images or a text box in, in between a paragraph. So just like this, we can insert an text box and add a table within it. So in this document, you could see that I've inserted a text box, input text into it, inserted a table right below it, and added the content within it. That's simple. And after clicking on settings, I can choose square so that the paragraph would just wrap around it. So this would also address the next question, where you can add a table between columns and have the text flow through it. And as simple as that. To show a complete overview of what we discussed here. So how we made use of an image to cover the whole page to create a cover image, how to insert a blank page, how to put a text in the center of a page. So how I can set the text to be available on the left panel. So that is on the left side center of a page. How do I have an image available on all the pages? How I can set a text available within a paragraph and have the text wrap around it. The same applies for images as well, and how you can set an image and have the columns to just flow right below it. So that is to have an image span across the columns on the top. So how to put an text box within a paragraph so that you can also insert a table into it and show two options. So how to change the orientation from portrait to landscape for just one page. So how I enter two tables right next to each other. Also, the last one here is inserting the signature on the last page. That would be it for this webinar. So these are the features that we discussed. Thank you so much for patiently listening throughout.